Okay, it is winter time, so I'm going to start winterizing the farm. This should be probably the last time we winterize here, because we'll be moving over to the other property. But these plants, for the time being, some of these need to go in the greenhouse. I've got to cover the aviary with its cover, and then I got this stuff from Amazon to do some stuff in the cages. For instance, I'm going to stop using those red incandescent lamps and go for these things now, so they won't be up all night. The red light does make it a little easier, but as far as sleeping, but the doves still stay awake. So I'm going to change things up. Also got this is for the koi pond. It says de-icer, but I read it, and it has a thermostat, so I'm just going to put it in there and keep it in there for the whole winter. We're going to redo the rabbits watering thing and switch to cups. Those nipple things do not work really well. I mean, they do, but they're constantly getting clogged. So I'm going to change those and use the cups now. And then I got a box of ceramic fixtures to replace these fixtures. So these are the ones that I have for the incandescent bulbs, but they're just plastic. So I'm going to change those to ceramic so that they can handle the bigger wattage and the heat. And then I should have just bought these from the beginning, but every time one of those feeders have worn out, I've bought one of these, and that last feeder finally messed up for the rabbit. So now they'll all have one of these. So I got all that to do, and it's going to be in the 30s tomorrow, so that's why I'm starting on this today. Alright, that should do the trick. I'm going to do the 2 over here for the doves and quail. And that'll be done for that cage. Okay, I have all of these mounted and tested, and they all are getting warm, so that's a good thing. So I am done with that. And then this comes on when it's really, really cold to keep this from freezing. So I'm done with this cage, and I'm going to move on to the next. Okay, a little bit of advice about if you have rabbits. I don't know if you do or not, but if you're watching and you have rabbits, these are the feeders that you can get at Tractor Supply. And as you can see, some of these are less than a year old. They just fall apart, completely fall apart. They get holes in the bottom here where the food sits first, and then you lose food. And they're just not very good. So we've had a bunch of them. I started getting the one that I just installed, which I'll show. But see how all the bottoms have holes. That's usually what happens first. They just fall apart. And this is what the other ones look like. There's the new one. And they're more like industrial strength. You know, they're not gonna fail for a long time. So I highly recommend just spend the extra couple of bucks and get that instead of buying a bunch of these that just fall apart. Alright, I got all of those put on. And they're working. I think those will do a lot better than those ones that were on there before. Okay, so I have decided not to put the cover over this, or at least not for now. When I was doing the rest of the winterizing, it was going to be in the 30s, and now it's back up into the 80s, and it's going to be in the 70s and 80s for the next couple of weeks. So I'm not going to put the cover on that yet, if at all. They did really well without the cover in the 30-degree weather with those new heater bulbs. So I'm kind of thinking about possibly not covering it. I mean, I could cover part of it, or put some sort of a container or something in there for them to get into when it's windy. But they did really well. I came out and checked on them, and it was like 32 degrees out here, and a couple of them were around the heat bulb, but that was it. So they didn't look cold at all.
Alright, well, I think that de-icer is going to work well, and I have it positioned in there with a little bit of twine to keep it from floating off to the sides. So I'm confident that's going to keep them nice and toasty. So that's going to be it for the winterizing, like I said, unless I put that cover up, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm having second thoughts about doing that, so I may just put a container in there. Alright, well, I guess we'll see how cold we get this winter. Last winter was somewhat mild. We had 1 snow, and the winter before that we just had a few snows. So we're kind of due, but we'll see what happens.